There we go. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, we are nearing the end of the combined federal campaign, and we are really excited to hear from all of these great charities today. So, as we go through, um, this is also a great time to ask questions and be able to, learn more about each of these organizations. So if you have any questions, please throw those in the chat. We'll also be putting each of their organization names and CFC codes, their CFC number, in that chat as well, so that you can easily find them and make a contribution if you find an organization that really speaks to you. So we are going to go ahead and get started. I know that it's more exciting to hear from the charities than it is from me. So we are going to get started with Derek Lampkin from Class Matters. So Darren, if you wouldn't mind, unmute. You've got the floor.
Okay, can you see me?
Yes.
All right. So my name is Darren Lampkin. I am an engineer pretending to be an educator. I work for the Boeing Company. And so I started a ministry called Class Matters, where I work with At Hope Youth, specifically middle school and high school students, teaching about engineering, aviation, and computer science. And so I use everyday things around the house. So specifically, the concept is engineering is all around you. And CFC allows us to reach more. So specifically this year, we went from impacting an weekly average of about 15 students. And then we grew to like 87. And so really appreciate the support, because being a small organization, we really count on the support. And so our next initiative is we're going to teach them how to make hand soap and also laundry detergent, because a lot of these students, they miss school because they don't have clean clothes. And so they're going to make their own soap and laundry detergent. And then we also want to make some self-care package to deliver to other families in need as well. So those are the similar projects that we do, just servant learning, and it's peer to near peer, and vertical mentorship with the high schoolers and the middle schoolers, mentor the elementary school students here in Oklahoma City, specifically OKCPS Public School District. And that's Class Matters in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thanks, Darren. It sounds like you guys are doing some really cool things. We're going to go ahead and, unless I see any questions pop up in the chat, we're going to go ahead and move on to another charity, and then we can come back and ask questions of everyone at the end. So everybody stay tuned, and yeah, please just keep your thoughts or questions coming to us in the chat. But thanks so much for sharing, Darren. All right, next we are going to hear from the United Way of Central Oklahoma. Haley Royal is here to share with us. So Haley, over to you.
Thank you so much, Bailey. And thank you all for taking the time to do this. I love how Bailey was saying there's so many different opportunities to hear from all the different charities with CFC. So I wish I could pop on and hear about all the ones. It's great to continue to learn and grow. There's so much going on in Oklahoma City. And I know that we can get discouraged sometimes driving around and seeing things and thinking, what is going on to solve this? It seems like this is getting worse, no matter what the problem is. I know it's so easy to get discouraged, but I can guarantee you all of the fantastic agencies on here and all of the ones we support are doing so much to try to meet those needs, and they all know what to do. We do have those solutions, but they need your support. And so that's really my role here at United Way is we support 102 different programs across 54 partner agencies in Central Oklahoma, and one of them is actually Sunbeam, so I'm excited to see our partner on here. I always joke that I don't have a favorite one or a favorite cause, but my favorite's whoever I'm talking with that day, because I'm about to hear from Colton and then I'll fall in love with Sunbeam all over again. So that really sums up the beauty of giving to United Way. That's something that makes us different, sets us apart, and it's why I support, is because we're able to really stretch the dollar to go across all of these different agencies and all these different needs. I mean, when you think about it, just like I was talking about with seeing people, whether it's seeing people experiencing homelessness or children children who are experiencing educational challenges, just like Darren was speaking about, all of those issues. It's so hard to see all of them and not know how to address it. What can I do? How can I be a part of it? And even if you were trying to address all of them, it's impossible for us to have the time and all of those. So these agencies are just professionals at meeting these needs. And I know we'll get to continue to hear that, but I just want to focus on our 54 right now. And I could sit here and tell you about each one of them and their missions and the amazing work they're doing. And I guarantee you other people in here would say agree with them, because I'm sure they're partners. They really utilize their time well and have great partners across the community as well. But I wanted to talk just real quick. So we have like I said, 54, and that's actually a new number. Last year, we got to add another one called the Care Center. I don't know if you are familiar with them, but they are a nonprofit agency that is meeting the needs of children who have been through an abusive situation, whether that's physical, sexual, or emotional. And the way that they approach that is by recording the conversation where the kid gives their testimony. And then that way, whenever the case, if it goes to court or has a trial, the child does not have to go up and keep repeating that and have that trauma come back up over and over again. And they are the only organization doing that in Central Oklahoma. So we are really excited to have them on board as a partner this year. And again, that's just one example of an agency doing hard work. And we kind of talk about, we have 5 different focus areas, and I won't dig into that because I would go much longer than 6 minutes. But those are all kind of various causes, like what I was talking about. And I know that everyone has a cause that to you, it probably sticks out. It might be a personal reason. It might be someone in your family went through something. And that can look like so many different things. For me, my favorite, we call focus areas, is successful kids. And that is solely because I had a fantastic childhood growing up and just had an amazing experience. But that's because my parents broke cycles of alcoholism and addiction and even neglect in my family. And so that could have not been my story. And so I'm passionate about that because my parents did the hard work, and there's families in the community that need that and don't know how to do that. And so that's just my focus area. But again, if I were only here talking about successful kids, for one thing, if I'm talking about the different agencies, that's like looking at what I just talked about with the Care Center, and then what they are doing for successful kids, but also what Sunbeam is doing is supporting successful kids, and what Positive Tomorrows is doing. And if I was trying to decide between those 3, that's impossible. They all have fantastic outcomes. They're doing fantastic work, but it's completely different, and they're experts at exactly what they're doing. So I love that I get to give to United Way, and my dollar is going to support all of those in its own way. And a little bit about what that looks like. So our donor dollars go through what we call the community investment process, and that is actually through donor volunteers. So as a staff member, I have no say in where the money goes. That's actually all donor volunteers. So if you give, you are invited to be part of that process, and they all get to go visit the nonprofits, and they get to do site visits. They get to meet some of the staff, do an interview with the agency director, look at financials, look at outcomes, so that truly by the end of it, the agencies can prove that they are the best of the best and are meeting the outcomes, doing what they say they're doing. Colton, I don't know if you've been part of the application process yet. I know it's coming up, but it is vigorous. And they will tell you that there's a lot that goes into it. It's a long application, and they do it every year. And just for an example, we're having our 100th anniversary this year, and Sunbeam was one of our earliest partners. So Sunbeam's about to do their 100th application. They have done it 100 times. So it is a deep process, but it also assures you that your dollar is going to nonprofits that are really doing what they say they're doing, and they are meeting needs and causing not causing issues, they're solving issues across our communities. So it's really special to be a part of this kind of an organization that can just have the biggest impact. And I hope you all will join me in supporting United Way and just supporting the CFC in general. It's so fantastic. So you can see my code is under my name, 50313, and would love to have you all join me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Haley. And I love that you touched on the fact that the organizations that are part of United Way go through a pretty rigorous process to be there, and know that they're very responsible. They have incredible outcomes. They're really doing meaningful work. And I will say that that goes for all of our CFC agencies as well, because they also go through an application project that an application process where that is then reviewed by, peers in the federal community, in the federal workforce. So it's pretty awesome that we have all of these resources to guide us to those organizations that are truly making a difference. And that the resources that you're giving are going to solve the problems that you also want to solve. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Haley. Glad to have you on this call today. All right, next we're actually going to hear from the United Way member agency from Sunbeam Family Services. So Colton's here, and he's going to share with us.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for having me out today. I really appreciate it. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Sunbeam, Sunbeam is OKC's, or I should say Central Oklahoma's, one of our longest serving nonprofits. We were founded in 1907 as a shelter for children facing homelessness. And over the years, thanks to partners like the CFC, we've been able to really evolve and expand our reach into the community based on what the needs are. And so to this current day, we have 4 pillars that we follow of our services. That includes senior services, mental health support groups, as well as foster care and early education. So that's probably our largest one right now. We own and operate 7 centers across Central Oklahoma that serve our children 6 weeks old to 4 years old, that provide them Head Start and early Head Start services for the county. And just with all of our programs, we treat our families that we serve with a holistic care. So whenever they begin their journey with Sunbeam and what we do, we walk alongside them the entire time. So say a family enrolls at one of our centers and the parent is struggling with employment or struggling with addiction, we find those resources for them and set them up for success and really build brighter futures with all children that we serve. And so I'll keep it short and sweet, but those are the services that we provide. I do want to share a short video. Let me see if I can get our screen share to work. Okay, that's not what you want. Can you guys see the video?
Mm-hmm.
Sound?
Adrian's gonna bump his head?
No, I ate the toys.
Well, honestly, my childhood, it was hard. I really had to grow up quick. At 16, I carried 3 jobs. My day would start at 5 a.m. and it wouldn't end until 10 o'clock. Are you wanting to walk, Papa? Dude, close this. Pass me that orange too. Make sure he doesn't get it. I had the babies, and once I had the babies, they stayed in the NICU. That's where postpartum started hitting me a lot. I'm only 18, and I'm having to deal with 4 kids that I can barely even watch myself. I'm a baby. On the day-to-day, I was really doing it alone. I mean, Dad was working, everybody else was doing their own thing. I was always home. I seen the same 4 walls in my room every day. I mean, I really did feel like I was in prison. So, I mean, a lot of times it did cross my mind, like, what's the reason? What's the reason I'm here, It was all the depression, it really was, just because me being so young, I wanted to have a life outside of being a mom. I really did feel like I was not worth it anymore.
When I met Vanessa, you could definitely see that she was pushing through. She was doing what she had to do for her kiddos. You can kind of see in people's eyes, like when they're just there. And you could kind of see that with Vanessa, is that she was just there and she didn't give herself any grace. There's so much stigma around having to admit that it's hard. She knew she needed to get them in somewhere so that she could go back to work. I'm always of the mindset that, they can change. Like, people are always capable of change and growth.
Lindsay is the best person ever. I started telling her, I'm having these thoughts. So we sat there and she was just like, you know what? I just want to tell you that we're here for you. She was just like, you don't always have to love to be a mom. It's true, but it's something that a mom does not want to admit.
We want a partnership with our families, and we want them to succeed. That's a good part of the Sunbeam way. We want to be a part of the family as a whole. We want to make sure that they're learning, and it's very important because once they're here in this program and they go on to kindergarten, they're going to take those lessons with them. So I think if we didn't have Sunbeam out there in the community, we really would see a younger generation not succeed the way that we are helping them. She's gotten a job, she's bought a new car, and just to see her family grow like that means a lot.
I'm so glad Vanessa found us because I can't imagine a world without her. Like I said, she's one of those families that I look to whenever I need those reminders of why I do what I do.
Pierce literally saved my life. Because of Sunbeam, I have a lot of goals, and now having a secure job, I'm able to accomplish it. I won't ever be on that dark side that I was. I have a future. I didn't think I would have one, but I do.
So, like we all have been saying for this entire campaign, I think we're all here because we are passionate about something. And like Haley said, I grew up in a very happy home, a very happy childhood, and knowing that I had friends that did not have that same story really impacted me. And I always look to families like Vanessa's whenever I'm feeling down and wanting to be reinvigorated with the passion of serving our community. And so I think that story really sums up most groups that we serve. And of course, Pierce is only one of our centers, and she's only one of our families that we serve. So your gift to the CFC really does make an impact and really does reach our community. And lastly, I just want to thank you all for having me again today. And I highly encourage a gift to the CFC, because a gift to the CFC could help someone in your life and someone that you know. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Colton. That video was absolutely incredible. I just cannot imagine finding out being pregnant with triplets after already having one. So thank you so much for the way that Sunbeam serves families in our community. It's so needed. And thanks for sharing. All right, so next we are going to transition to hear from Joe Knott with the Regional Compatible Lands Foundation. So Joe, here you go. We're ready for you.
Good morning, Bailey. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Bailey, for coordinating today's event and for all you do every day for the Combined Federal Campaign. We all appreciate you and what you do. And as Bailey just said, Joe Knott, the Executive Director for Compatible Lands Foundation, a nonprofit land trust based in Oklahoma. I am also a Army veteran, served 33 years in the military, including several years at the Pentagon. So I personally know how important and impactful the CFC is. And I had the privilege to lead a few CFC campaigns for the Army at the Pentagon. So I appreciate all that everybody does. It's on the video today. It's just CFC has a special place in my heart for the impacts you all make. I'm going to try to share my screen, and being an old Army guy, we'll give it a shot. If I mess up, we'll give it another shot. Okay, I'm going to see if Bailey, you make sure that it comes up right now. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So again, I think Bailey doesn't know, but if you give the CFC, you get a free ride in a military jet. We'll just start off with that. It's not really, but it's really a good soundbite there. So I'm going to jump to the first slide. What do we do? And again, we're a land trust that's very unique based in Oklahoma, work around the country. We're the only land trust in the United States and in the world for that matter, where we partner to conserve land and natural resources while protecting the military's ability to train our young men and women in the military. You'll see when I jump to the next slide, a little explanation there, where we work, with the Department of Defense under this program, and all of you in the federal government know acronyms are how we talk. So REPI, REPI is the Readiness Environmental Protection Integration REPI program. What that means is the Pentagon partners with us, other nonprofits, and I know we have Tinker Air Force Base tonight today talking about Tinker is one of the bases in Oklahoma that has this program. And we make sure that land around the base, outside the base, stays compatible with what the military is doing on the base. So we don't have residential housing built next to where we shoot tanks, or the helicopters at midnight are flying across the fence. It's just a good couple examples, or where there's so much development, the light from those buildings blind our soldiers or airmen, Marines, and as they train with night vision goggles. Things that seem small, but actually can impact how our military folks are trained. And then again, what that means is, we owe every person in uniform, every young, soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine, the best training possible before they're asked to go somewhere to deploy and protect our country and do what needs to be done. And Oklahoma is a great example of that. Tinker, as I mentioned, the Air Force Base, Fort Sill, home of the artillery, the Oklahoma National Guard is another good example. All of these folks have raised the right hand to volunteer to serve our country. We owe them back the best training possible before they do have to go somewhere and do their duty. Quick slide there, just where we work across the country. It's everywhere from Alaska to Tennessee to Mississippi to Oklahoma and Texas, Oklahoma being our headquarters. So we have folks, employees there in Oklahoma, and it's where it all started now almost 13 years ago. So I'm going to quickly go through a couple of good news stories that kind of hopefully highlight that link that we have as a Oklahoma-based land trust that works with the Army and Navy and Marines and Air Force to protect the lands as in Oklahoma to ensure compatible use so the military can train. This battleground, the breaking ground, I'm hoping that slide pops up now, is a farm. And we talked to the Department of Defense with this program to let us buy a farm and then offer the training, a year-long program, partnering with the university there for no charge at all, as it should be, free to any veteran, Oklahoma, Texas, any place in the country, to learn if they're interested, they're having challenges, to be blunt, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, just needing to transition from being in the military to back into society with all of us, that's speaking as a biased disabled vet myself. It's a great thing that they're allowed to come together, in this case, learn about agriculture, farming, and ranching with other veterans who share the same challenges they have based on the service they did for their country, to be pretty blunt about it. So we're really proud that we're able to partner to have so many folks from around the country and be able to come to our, again, another acronym, Farming, Education, and Training for Veterans, our feet to work there, plant there. We have now sheep and cows and crops, and the veterans and our counselors and our medical partners who help provide those mental health assistance when needed to our veterans. It's just I can't say enough about it, obviously, and I am biased, but it just gives an example of how we can use this program under our CFC support that actually helps veterans and their families. And I won't talk much more about that, but we all know that the families are the most important part of a veteran's life and a serving military person. So it's a package deal. And so we also allow spouses to attend in this training to work with their partner in these situations. Again, agriculture and ranching and farming being a big thing in Oklahoma for a lot of families, and also Texas and other places. So where the impact is, again, we're across several states, 13 military bases now. In the next few months, we're going to have at least 2, if not 4 more military bases. As a partner, those include all the services. Again, those Army, Air Force, Marines. We hold right now over 100 conservation easements, which means we go to somebody, an example, if we were in Oklahoma City or Tulsa, where we're based out of, and we go to a landowner who's a farmer and say, hey, we don't want you to develop housing next to where the jets come screaming over the runway. We will pay you money to just conserve your land, keep farming, keep ranching like your dad did, and maybe your grandpa did also. And for that, you receive funds, and we come over once a year, stop by, make sure it's still, corn and cows and not apartment complexes. And so it's a good way to also help our veterans and the rest of the folks in the community with knowing that never has enough money if you're a farmer or a rancher. So it's a good example of how this, again, helps 25,000 acres plus we preserved across the United States, clean water, clean air, climate, carbon mitigation. So we put all these benefits into where we start with helping ensure our people, military members, get the best training possible before they go somewhere. And we've added these benefits to the community, veteran and non-veteran community. If you're familiar with that small state to the south, Oklahoma, I think it's a suburb of Oklahoma City, Texas. And the Edwards Aquifer is a major supplier of clean water for Texans. And it's at risk. Lots of development impacts the ability for more rain to fill the aquifer, along with putting things in the water that shouldn't really be there. So we're protecting thousands of acres. We've working with our partners that will then ensure farms and ranches, not apartment complexes and giant developments that have negative impacts on that aquifer, the water for the communities. Jumping way to the east again, longleaf pine. Again, that's if you've been in the southeast U.S., lots of longleaf pine are now almost all gone, and they provide a habitat for endangered species. They provide recreational activities for veterans families, children, and outdoor. And so we are restoring over 1,000 acres to back the way it was 200 years ago when I was born. And again, so it's a great way to reach out and touch other groups of folks in the community, and CFC is a great partner to help us do that. And if you're a climate change guy like I am, well, yes, we're doing the first carbon project where we're protecting the land that is forest, and those forests, the trees get bigger, and that means it collects more carbon, and there's a market to sell carbon offsets to different industries. And that money comes back in and is used to conserve more land, to protect the military readiness for our military bases, and again, serve our veterans. That last bullet there, slightly less than 500 veterans and some spouses, family members have received the training at our farmer defeat there. So I'm going to close real quick. I don't want to take too much time, but there's a old guy in the middle, and the rest of those folks are awesome. They all have, some have family members still in the military, still serving in places around the country and not in the country. Very professional. And you'll see on the left front next to me, Lori, she's a native Oklahoman. So I know to never make any OSU jokes when I talk to Lori, because it's like a religion, I believe, she's told me. And so I won't say go Pokes or whatever the wrong words are there. And also we have a board of trustees that are all volunteers from different walks of life, from attorneys to conservationists to Department of Agriculture, farm ranch folks, people, and some a treasurer based in the Tulsa area, just again volunteering their time to make this work. And it doesn't work without our partners and sponsors, and of course CFC being a big one. So I'm going to close and take my time, just close with thanking again Bailey, and thank all of you for what you do. I've been around a long time. Life's too short. We have to, you make every day count, and I realize every one of you do that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. This was really fascinating, and thanks for sharing. One of my favorite things about working with the CFC is that I get to learn about organizations like yours that I might not have had access to, or learned about before. So thank you so much for sharing with us. You all are doing really fascinating and really important work.
My privilege. Thank you.
We love your humor too. So thank you, and thank you for your service as well. But we appreciate you being here today. So, all right, next up, we are going to hear about the Tinker Family Readiness Fund from Priscilla Donnelly. So, Priscilla, I will let you go next.
There we go. Okay. How to get myself unmuted there. And it's always a boomer sooner, just saying. As long as you say that, you're always good. My name is Priscilla Donnelly, and I'm with Tinker Family Readiness Fund. What that is a private organization that is housed on Tinker. As you can see, hopefully, did my screen share okay? It didn't show on my side, so, okay. And so you can see some of the things that we do here. Our biggest mission is we're dedicated to enhancing the dignity and the quality of life on Tinker for active duty, National Guard, their family members, retirees, veterans, and also DoD civilians even. A lot of times what we found was that there were gray areas where people needed assistance but couldn't get it through the standard procedure. And so that's kind of where we came into play with emergency assistance. So we've helped people with funerals where maybe most of the costs were covered, but there was still, a huge chunk that needed to be paid. We also help with the food pantry. And so we house a food pantry here at the Military and Family Readiness Center. And we keep that running 5 days a week. We even have emergency if you need to come in on the weekends. We're here for you, just because National Guard and reserves, they drill on the weekends. And so sometimes they may need to utilize it during that time. We also do holiday food baskets. So we try to make sure that everyone gets a Thanksgiving meal to be shared. Sometimes you can't make it home because of financial restraints or whatever it might be. This year we got to give out 96 baskets. Last year it was 40, and so I was very thankful that we were able to get that funding by being part of such an organization like CFC. We did 25 holiday baskets, and then we also do something called Airman's Attic. So here at Tinker, they don't have a loan locker like they do at other bases, where you could check out stuff while you're waiting for your household goods to come in from a PCS. And so we have something called an Airman's Attic, where we accept donations of clothes and shoes and uniforms and baby gear. We don't do any bedding or car seats just because of safety wise. But we do pots and pans, plates, those kind of things. And it's a nice little thing to have, just because if you're first starting out in a new home, or maybe you're new to the military life in general and you just had a baby, you can come in and check out what we have, and it's all free. So you get to take that home with you, and then say you're PCSing and your household goods just hasn't got here yet. That's where the forks and the plates and all of the pans and that kind of stuff comes in handy, because if you need them, you can keep them. but say your household goods come in and you don't need them anymore. Well, then you can donate it back and it gets passed on to another person in the military community. And that's what we're about, is supporting that Tinker, Team Tinker military community. And what else? Oh, we started last year something called Great Gown Affair. And what that is we get dresses donated to us, sometimes brand new ones, sometimes gently used ones, shoes, jewelry, all sorts of stuff, tuxes, because we need men's formal wear as well, right? And so people can come in and we set up like a boutique. So it's an experience. We set it up and it's very formal, very nice, but everything is $100 or less. So it helps us keep going with funding the Airman's Attic and the food pantry. But at the same time, you get formal wear for the upcoming balls, dining ins, dining outs, whatever the function might be, prom. We get a lot of people for prom, and those kind of things. We also help with a lot of morale events. So we help with the 5Ks and EFMP, Exceptional Family Member Program, all of our wonderful acronyms here at the Military Life. So we help with them with their STEM projects to keep that educational piece going. And then if you'll look on the screen, you'll see that there's a little boy with a hat on and then some camo paint on. We get to do this wonderful event every year called Kudos that we get to help with. And what does that stand for? That's Kids Understanding Deployment Opportunities. Deployment, not opportunities, deployment. So it's a deployment process. And they get to go through a receiving line. So they get to go through where they go through their vaccines and all the, medical readiness part of it, all the way to quote unquote deploying to their area, right? So it's a hangar where they get to go to, and they do all these activities like push-up challenges and the emergency management. They get to put on the gas mask, all the stuff that mom and dad get to wear. Even the canine unit was out this year, and so they got to see what the dogs get to do on deployments. And then they get to do a coming home ceremony. So that's the best part about it, is they get bused from that location to a big old field where we're waiting with them with signs and everything, so they get to experience deployments and what it means to be deployed and those kind of things. It's really cool to see siblings connect and mom and dads and just children connect in that different way. And we get to be a part of helping with that. Down at the left-hand corner, Oklahoma is kind of known for tornadoes. So we've been able to help out with emergency assistance in that manner when disaster things do strike. We're able to help out in that area. Let's see here. Last but not least, we also help out deployed spouses dinners. So we get to go and connect with them and just make life a little easier for them. Deployed spouses dinners where we take the burden off them. We help making that with the chapel. We help make the meal and those kind of things, so that they get not only that meal for that night, but they get to take home leftovers. And so spaghetti, lasagna, whatever it might be, and the kids are excited about it. They get games, and we just help out. And that even includes us, carrying the plates and the bowls for them to their table, just, helping them understand that they're essential. Just like Joe said, the families is where it's at. All right. Other than that, we're always finding new ways to help out within the community. So those are just some of the highlights that we've done. But I look forward to, we help with the 9/11 and Palomia runs, all of those things, to remember our fallen, as well as anything else that comes up our way. We're kind of that nice entity where we get to be the gray area to help out. So that's where, honestly, your money goes to, is when that widow or when that spouse, which we've had, all four tires go out at once and the husband's deployed or the spouse is deployed, or maybe, unfortunately, their spouse isn't with them any longer and they just need that little extra help to understand that they're cared about and that they keep going. That's where we step in and we help out. All right, that's it for me. Any questions?
Wow, thank you, Priscilla. Thanks for sharing how you really are helping here in our very local community. Tinker is such a big part. I live here in Oklahoma City, and Tinker is such a big part of our local community and also, again, the federal and military community. So thank you for what you do and for sharing. Awesome.
most
Well,
welcome.
absolutely. Well, we're going to move on and hear about City Rescue Mission. So, Debbie McDonald, you are up next.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, Bailey, thank you so much. And thank you for everybody that's on here. Number one, for your interest in the community, your interest in what amazing organizations are doing here. And just thank you for all of you guys that are on here that are representing your organizations. One of the, just anecdotally, I moved to Oklahoma City about 4.5 years ago. And I talk about that connections are about 1.5 degrees of separation instead of the 6 degrees of separation. And so it's always fun to see where there's interactions between organizations and collaboration and so forth that that really does help the entire community. So I'm going to speak just briefly about City Rescue Mission, and then I'm going to toss it to Bailey to help me show a video since my screen sharing was not working. So City Rescue Mission was formed about 63 years ago. We're not quite as old as Sunbeam. Kudos to Sunbeam for being the oldest organization, I think, in the city. But we were formed 63 years ago by a group of businessmen, Christian businessmen here in Oklahoma City that were concerned about those experiencing homelessness. And it started with really 20 beds, and the motto was soup, soap, and salvation. So it has grown quite a bit. We now reside on California Avenue. Prior to COVID, and I'll put kind of a before and after, prior to COVID, we had 550 residents living with us. And that is men, women, single men, single women, and families with children. We've advanced our programs so that now we can we house full families together. We really believe in the families staying together. So we have apartments that we can house families with their children, which means a mother and a father and their kids. We can even house single dads now with their kids. So we've made a lot of advancements in 63 years. I'm going to toss it to Bailey now to show you a quick video, and then I'll come back and tell you about some of the things that we're doing recently and that we're really proud of as far as how we've transitioned. Thank you, Bailey, for pitching in for me.
Absolutely. All right. I think we are ready to go here.
You might need to unmute.
You're not hearing it. Are you not hearing it? Sorry.
You might need to unmute.
I am unmuted. Oh no.
No, you gotta play. You gotta change your sound settings.
Oh no.
Your speaker.
Well, you know what,
Let's see
Bailey?
here.
Why don't you just come back to me and I will continue talking.
Okay, that sounds just fine. Sorry, I
No
thought we had it
problem.
ready.
Yeah. Is that on YouTube?
It is on YouTube.
Yes.
So
Okay.
We'll put that link in so people can watch it. We'll put that in the
Yeah.
chat.
So basically, guys, that was a 2-minute video just showing you some of the people and the faces and some of the things that we do, creating a path back to hope. You know, one of the things that you think of when you think of, and I'll just give you the basics. City Rescue Mission has essentially, it all starts with shelter. That while we have other programs, most people come to City Rescue Mission because they are seeking shelter. Shelter, it could be just the safety and security of having some place to come in from the cold. It could be because they are running from domestic abuse situations. It could be that they have just finally, we've had one case recently that we did a story on, that the family was living out of their car. Their car got totaled. They were living out of a storage unit with their 3 kids. And finally, you know, and it's one of those things that's hard sometimes. People don't necessarily want to come to a homeless shelter to seek help. But what we say is if you just walk through the front doors, there's so much help and so many services that are available. You know, I get the privilege of getting to see miracles literally every single day. And that is such a blessing. We also get to see heartbreak. You know, we're dealing with a really challenging obstacle that many in the city that we're collaborating on right now. But with that, I want to give you some real encouragement. you know, the mayor once said, we had a grand opening of our kitchen, and I love his comment. He said, there's a million different paths that people come to experiencing homelessness. And that is really, maybe a million is a bit extreme, but there's such individual and uniqueness to what brings any person into a state of homelessness. But it takes a million different ways to solve that. So we deal, everybody that comes through our doors has an individual case manager. It may just be that they just need help getting identification so that they can get a job. It may be that they just need to get out of a really stressful situation. You know, when I say this, I said, you know, sometimes they come in just deer in the headlights, and they just need a warm bed, a place to, you know, that they can be provided security and a meal just to get their feet back on the ground. You know, our average stay here, people often ask, you know, what's our average stay here? Well, we don't really have a time limit on people staying here. Our average stay, though, really is about 40 days, because one of the things that we've learned really well through COVID is really how to house people. 92% of the people that exit City Rescue Mission exit to housing. Now, that's not always their own apartment, but it is a safe and secure place that they are going, whether it's living with relatives or otherwise. One of the things I'm most proud of, and I'll step back and just say, everything starts with shelter. We are a homeless shelter. So, you know, so people come here to seek shelter. But when they come here, they either then need some recovery services, which that could be an addiction to just the basics, but it could just be that they need recovery from life. And that's a longer program. It is our faith-based program where that they do go to chapel every morning. They do connect with churches that come to church services, etc. We have a work readiness or an employment readiness program that helps them, quite frankly, gain confidence in their own skills and abilities and helps them with the basic things. We partner with Goodwill on that. And then we have our housing program. So I'll back up and say, what we feel so much, though, is that this city has amazing services that we don't need to provide at all. We have 70 different services that come alongside us, mental health providers, you know, especially Healing Hands from a medical standpoint, et cetera. But our housing program, what we learned in the during COVID is that you may have heard a term called housing first. And housing first in the essentially said, well, if you're homeless or if you're experiencing homelessness and you just give them a house or give them, you know, a roof over their head, that it does provide dignity, it does provide independence and so forth. But the thought was it just it solves all their problems. Well, real world is no, it doesn't solve all their problems because there's some other things that they need service providers to come around them. So we developed that. We were given some funding in April of 21, and that program just ended in September. We were able to house over 1,200 people. In that housing program, though, it had wraparound services so that we followed them and case managed them and so forth during that period of time. The end result is that of those people that were housed, 67% now are without any subsidies, any housing subsidies or otherwise. So they're independent. They've had supportive services. And that real world, from a community standpoint, is about a $4 million impact to governmental supports and so forth. So it's been just, I can only say, guys, it's life-changing. It's life-changing for the people that we support, and it's life-changing for us because we get to see the hope that's instilled and the capability of creating viable citizens that just want an opportunity. So with that said, I'm going to talk about volunteer opportunities. We have all kinds of volunteer opportunities. Come in, we can serve meals. You can work in our donation resource center. For large groups, we've got an experiential program that we've developed called A Mile in My Shoes. And we actually walk you through the mile, maybe not literally through the mission, but all the things that somebody might experience when they come here at the mission. And we've got some testimonials and so forth along with that. I just want to thank CFC. I think we've been a member for a long time, and it's always one of those things. It's a privilege to be part of something that is helping coordinate the giving and so forth. And thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much, Debbie, for sharing with us. You all have so much going on and are helping so many different people. So thank you for the work that you do and for being part of the CFC. All right, we have one final speaker for you today. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Vicki Payne from Southern Grit Advocacy. So Vicki, are you ready to share with us?
You're still muted. You're muted. You gotta unmute yourself. Bailey, if you're the host, you can unmute her.
I'm gonna try. Megan, can you try? I'm sorry, Vicki, you're still muted, so if you can just hit that on your phone there. The little microphone. I think Reagan sent you an ask to unmute, so you might be able to see that as well. Let's see here. Able to find it? I think if you're on your phone, you kind of hit your screen and a little pop-up will come up to unmute you. Well, to select your microphone. And as we're waiting there, Debbie shared that their social enterprise at City Rescue Mission Rise Cafe is a coffee shop, and they're open for breakfast and lunch. So come join her. That's really cool. We're actually just, our office is down the street, so we may have to do
Well,
that.
you do need
There
to
we
do
go.
that. While Vicki's trying to get off mute and so forth, I'll just mention I did want to say that you can really help City Rescue Mission in a variety of ways from a volunteer standpoint, but just come into Rice Cafe. It's the full thing, and we've got amazing pastries and lunch items and breakfast items. And if you come on down, just let me know and I'll meet you over there.
Oh no, I think, well, thanks. I didn't say oh no about that. Sorry, Debbie. I think we may have lost Vicki. So she's coming back in. Okay, she's back in the waiting room. So we'll give her a minute to get connected here. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. Oh, Haley said, why did you choose the name Rise, Debbie?
Well, for filling time, I can tell you the story. So we wanted something uplifting. Our kitchen was called Kitchen of Hope. You know, we had a lot of things. There's Vicki, so she's connecting. But we wanted something that was spiritual as well and scriptural. And rise and shine, you know, there's scripture related to rise up and shine your light. And when we started looking at Rise and Shine, there were other names, you know, kind of Rise and Shine Cafe, which is the typical, you know, kind of get up early in the morning. But Rise just encapsulated it all. We are helping our clients rise above their circumstances. It's scriptural. And so that's what we landed on. And it's been really fun to be able to do all the collateral and all the amazing visuals and so forth internally on that. So anyway, I'll toss it over to Vicki again.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. Vicki, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so sorry about that. This is Jordan. She's actually in training at Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls. So I'm with Southern Grit Advocacy. Our mission is to prevent, disrupt, and end human trafficking through education and advocacy. And I just invited Jordan to tell you real quick why she thinks it's important for people to be aware of it.
Yep. So as Vicki said, I'm Jordan Peterson. I am a service member for the U.S. Air Force. And I think it's really important for everyone to know about human trafficking and being able to recognize it and know when to step in. I think that our kids should be educated at a young age about it. Currently at the base, we only have sexual assault and suicide annual training. And I would really like to see human trafficking also be an annual requirement.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I appreciate it. So we have several focus areas. Awareness is one of them. Prevention education for K through 12th grade, because what we've learned in the anti-trafficking anti-trafficking arena is that parents, guardians can no longer 100% protect their kids from this. So we have to empower the students, all of them K through 12, with the skills and tools to protect themselves, to prevent exploitation. And then we do training for adults and professionals and advocacy for survivors and persons at risk. Our CFC number is 10722. We collaborate with other nonprofit organizations that are providing direct client services to youth. And that's how we do the prevention education. We're a community education partner with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Their free resources are available to everyone, and encourage you, if you're a parent, grandparent, to go online and check out their resources, because those are tools that can help kids protect themselves. And they have fun games and stuff. We're an ambassador for Shared Health International, who has a Faith in Action kit that you can get online, churches can get online to help introduce the issues to their members. Right now in Texas, we're trying to help churches access it for free because Texas Department of Family Protective Services bought some kits to give away for free. I stepped outside to show you here's our area. There's not where our office is, but that's the hospital over there. And the prevention education, we want to keep people out of that hospital because we don't want them to get assaulted over and over and over. And then we have over there is behind that Walgreens, and back from this way, we've got some lower income residents, and there's a lot of people with addiction and drug selling, and that's one of the ways that people get tricked into it. Someone offers them a drug and then hopes they will get addicted so they can control them. So we promote personal safety, and we call our overall safety program Personal Safety Savvy. So we want these kids to be savvy about their own personal safety. And one of the ways we're also trying to help adults and parents is we became an affiliate with Bark, a monitoring software for parents, and Angel Sense, which is for parents who have a child with special needs such as autism, so that it's a GPS tracker. So those are some different things that we're doing. So we did we just finished our third year. Our first year, of course, was putting systems in order. That was the year of COVID. And then last year was a full year, and we educated about 2,300 students with prevention education in 2021. And then this 2022, it was a little over 4,100. And then we had some treat bags left over with personal safety bookmarks for kids in December. So we partnered with CASA, and we gave them 197 of those to pass on to their families, their CASA kids across the state of Texas. And we are hoping to become licensed to do business in Oklahoma this year. Thank you guys so much. Our CFC number is 10722. And I've been supportive of the CFC since I've been in fund development a few years ago with a mission in Wichita Falls. And I do enjoy hearing everybody else's what they're doing. Thank you so much, Bailey, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Vicki. Thanks for showing us. I like the interactive video here. Kind of a fun new take. But thank you to absolutely everyone who shared with us today. Each of these agencies, as you can see, is doing really incredible work, and I'm just honored to be able to help promote each of you through the CFC. So we have recorded this. We're going to be sending this out to all of our federal agencies. So thank you for agreeing to kind of live on in video and let other people who weren't able to join us today be on here. Darren, I see you've got your hand raised. Do you have something?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of questions in the chat, private messages. So I was wondering,
Yeah.
Can I share my screen just to
Yes,
answer some of
please
the
go
questions
for
real
it.
quick?
Yes.
I'll be really quick, I promise. So, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so let me zoom in. So this is the mission of Class Matters. Simply put, we want to promote more engineers, more computer science, more STEM professionals, right? And the way we do it is through our programs. So STEM Like Me is we allow volunteers from Tinker, FAA, and other STEM professions to come out and speak life into the kids and give them a day in the life as a STEM professional. Each theme is where we promote equity within STEM, and that's through hands-on tinkering. Early STEM Institute, Early STEM Village rather, is where we work with elementary kids, the high school and middle school kids. The recognition is where we recognize the family. And the service matters when we partner with organizations like the City Rescue Mission to help them with Thanksgiving and Christmas in a box. And then we also do teacher appreciation. And then we do ham and turkey deliveries and a walk for education. And then also the true dream is to do more senior support for their technology. And then this is way people support, like donating for snacks. And that's why I love CFC, because the donations come right on time to assist with providing food and snacks, and also purchasing some of the robots for the tours, and also doing the corporate tours and village. So that's that in a nutshell. And I was trying to be quick, but you guys had more questions. So I thank you guys for the questions. And I thank you, Ms. Gordon, for allowing me to share.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Darren. Well, we've just had an awesome group here with us today. So thank you to all of our charities. Again, givecfc.org is where you go to make your pledge. You can also, if you've already given, go in and update your pledge and include any of these or any other charities that you may want to include. So the beauty of giving through CFC is that you can give to as many organizations as you'd like. So, and you can give through payroll deduction or a one-time gift. So again, the campaign ends on the 14th. We've gone a little over today due to our technical difficulties. So thank you all for your patience. But I know I've been inspired by all of these stories and by all the incredible work that each of these organizations are doing. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude this charity fair, and we'll see you all again on the 10th and the 11th. So thank you.